Welcome to Discovering. I'm hitting the water with the DNR and Hardcore Scripture Outdoors for a close-up look at ducks.
Taking kids out into the woods and out on the water, out fishing, hunting, trapping, whatever we can do to get them out and get them interested in the outdoors.
That's all tonight, so stick around. It's Monday night and time for Discovering.
The secret streams that flow beneath the cliffs of colored stone. Forests thick and healthy with birch and pine and oak. Surrounded by the greatest lakes this world has ever known. The black bear's awesome presence as he roams the hills and fields. Call of the timber wolf, the loon's lonesome trill, the eagle soaring high above, the trout lies deep and still. These are what I treasure, the only way I measure feelings that I have for this fine land. There is so much to discover when you're a long-time lover of northern Michigan.
Bird banding is one of the most useful techniques for studying the movement, survival, and behavior of wild birds. Millions of birds have been banded over the last decade, providing a wealth of information useful in the management of a multitude of species, including ducks. I had the opportunity to tag along on a Delta County duck banding mission with the DNR, as well as a group from Hardcore Scripture Outdoors. Hardcore Scripture Outdoors is a faith-based group whose mission is to have a positive influence on kids by mentoring them in the outdoors and conservation while hunting, fishing, and trapping.
So we're out here today on Portage Point. We're going out doing some duck banding. We got some kids with Hardcore Scripture Outdoors. We're going out with the DNR. We're going to do some banding. It's a great opportunity that the DNR gave us to be able to join up with them and go out with the boats and band up these ducks and teach the kids about conservation and duck conservation, especially today. But just being out on the water on a day like today, you can't beat it. So.
This time, somebody get in the boat and you'll be the boxer. Do you think that one got out, or do you think that it might have not?
Very good. You can put a lot.
Drake, what does line up
See the bubbles coming up right in the corner?
Oh, here's one. This one by me. Grab that one.
Look at them kind of high.
So we started out this last spring as a legitimate foundation, Hardcore Scripture Outdoors, and we're a 501c3 nonprofit organization that's youth mentoring, taking kids out into the woods and out on the water, out fishing, hunting, trapping, whatever we can do to just to get them out and get them interested in the outdoors and try and get them out of their houses, off the Xbox, off the TV, and get out into nature and enjoy God's creation with us.
Other one, if you don't answer, when you leave the office.
We started this spring and we're rolling into this summer. We're trying to get as many opportunities as we can. The DNR's been great helping us out and contacting us and letting us know when there's events that we can join up with them on and go out into the woods and see different things. So we got Haley Bradshaw, Logan Bradshaw, Kyle Botese and Colton Holm out there with us today. They're all interested in the outdoors and have been with us on a few other endeavors, and we thought that this would be a great opportunity with them as they like to be in the waterfall areas and see that kind of thing. And it's great that they decided to come out, and we're looking forward to reaching out to more kids in the future and getting in touch with as many kids as we can. Great.
Now the trick for this, so you want them to be like this. You don't want to overlap. So the trick for it is you don't want to be like sideways with it. You want to actually have it over the other side. So when you can't pinch it too far, and you keep working it back and forth until it closes. Better off to just do a little. Don't come back.
Woody.
Got a wood duck and a painted turtle. Put a band on that.
The turtle? Could give it a nice necklace.
I probably overestimated a little bit.
Oh boy, me water.
Since we have both mallards and wood ducks, we're going to go over how we age and sex each species. It's pretty obvious characteristics most of the time. So I'm going to grab a wood duck and we'll just go over aging. I'll put them back and then we'll put the bands on them. So first of all, this is an American wood duck. It's a dabbling duck. So the quotas that we have for the UP is 100 mallards and 100 wood ducks, and then in addition we banned 200 Canada geese as well earlier in the summertime. So a hatch year bird, so born this year, will have notched tail feathers, and this is going to be an after hatch year. It's got no notching. It's already started to push out its new feathers, but this is an after hatch year, and there's actually up in this area here, you look for real pointed feathers in this area, and if they're real pointed, that's a hatch year bird. So these ones are not pointed, they're rounded off, and then it's got no notched tail feathers. So this one is a really obvious hatch year bird. You can see it's got notches in every single one of those feathers, so it's going to lose all these and it's going to push in new ones. So that's a hatch year bird. So this is a male, and there's a few different things. So when people see wood ducks and mallards in the fall when they're hunting or when they're out bird watching, they have very obvious plumage. Of course, you know, a male mallard, a drake has a green head. It's just, well, there's a drake. This time of year, it's not always that easy because they don't have that plumage yet. Same with wood ducks. They're just starting. So the first thing is the beak. So you can see the males have the more, for lack of a better term, pretty beak. Males always have red eyes. A female will have the yellow around the eye and it won't have a red eye. But the biggest thing is, you see how the female has the white around the eye, the white eye patch, and the male does not. So that's another characteristic of male versus female. Then the other thing that we look at, if it, say the head doesn't show it good yet, it hasn't come into coloring, is the barring on the speculum of the wings, this part right here. And you see how the male, it's like a straight white line along the bottom. The hens have a teardrop. So it's real obvious. I mean, you can't mistake those for what they are. So that's just kind of how we do it. So there's not a whole lot to it. I would say sexing is pretty easy, and aging can be a little bit tougher because they're in kind of varying degrees of plumage and whether they lost their old feathers and they're pushing in their new ones. So that can be a little bit more difficult, but so that's a wood duck, and since we don't have a whole lot of birds and they're not overheating or anything, we can grab mallards and we'll go over that. And again, we always just go to tail feathers, and that's the best thing to use. If we can't use that, then we go into some of the wing feathers. But so this one here, same thing. It doesn't matter if it's a wood duck or a mallard or any type of duck really. It's notched tail feathers. So you can see here again, you can see those really apparent notches in the tail. So this is a hatchier bird. And see this feather right here? See how it's really pointed? So that again just tells me, I mean, I wouldn't normally look at that because I know what it's got. So for sexing, we'll start at the bill again. So females have what's called mottling or spots or blotches. Some of them it's blotchy as can be. Other ones, it's just like this, those black blotches. And the other way to tell, this white barring on the top, see how it just stops either before the end of the blue or green coloring or right at the edge of it on that speculum. See how it stops? Well, if you look at the female, and it's tough because it's still kind of getting its plumage. See how it goes beyond it? It's starting to go into here.
Past this, so the speculum ends like right about here, and you'll see them, that white extends into the end. And if you look on this, it stops abruptly.
And I always look at both of them. I look at the barring and the bill. So that's kind of a mallard, and then we'll show you now kind of how we do the banding. These are kind of why we do the survey is these right here. So it's a mark and recapture study, kind of. So we're marking these birds, and of course we report to Fish and Wildlife Service how many birds we banded, of what species, of what sex, of what age. And then if a hunter harvests them, if they're found dead on a beach, even not so much with waterfowl, but people actually see them in their binoculars. It's tough, but you know, you have one sitting on your window. The songbirds, they report it. You can see it with binocs, and you can take a note. I spotted this bird or this duck at this location. Here was the number, and you can report it. There's actually, on each one of these bands it tells you where to go to report your band. So if you're hunting waterfowl, or if you're taking a walk and you find a dead bird, or even if you can see one with binocs, you can go to this reportbanding.gov. It used to call a phone number, but it's all online now. So you would call that number in, and they actually give you a report, say your bird was banded here. Obviously you know where you harvested at or found it at. So all that information is, so then the reporting of the bands is the recapture part of the mark and recapture study. We get a report every year to our office that tells us where our bands were found, if they were, because of course sometimes they're never found. It's kind of interesting, and it's a big statistical thing, and I don't do that. I put bands on the birds. They actually won't flap if you do this. I'll show you how to do it. It's called a head tuck. You take its head and you just tuck it in here like that. And they can't see, they can't see, they're just like hanging out. You can just kind of lightly hold it, and then they don't fight you, and they're not clawing at you. And these bands here, you can obviously see they're smaller. So each one of these has coding, and it's associated, it's ran by Fish and Wildlife Service, so they're a huge database. There's thousands and thousands of these bands distributed throughout the country for banding. But so it always starts with 4 numbers, and it always ends with 5 numbers. So this is 1, 2, 4, 5. That last number of the first 4 signifies the size. So this is a 5A. And there's of course measurements that you can take, and that we have a chart that, just in case like somebody just gives you bands, they don't tell you what size they are. And so you can see here, this is why there's multiple ways to check. So it doesn't have its coloring in its beak yet. That eye is red, but it ain't red. But if you look at these wings, the bottom of the speculum, They're not a teardrop, they're a straight line. So this is a male bird. I almost called it a female because I didn't look at everything. And it's a hatch here. You can tell that it's got notching on all of its tail feathers. So 10 is a hatchier male. See you, bud. Male. I think that one could have flown. Yep. And there's always a data recorder, and then we do like 2 people banding. When we turn these banding sheets in to the waterfowl specialist for the state of Michigan, we actually put the lat long of these traps, but we know where they're at. So we don't put that in right now. We're not looking at a GPS and putting it in every time.
Logan, do you want to? Colton?
The banding is probably, in my opinion, the hardest part of it. And it's probably the most crucial because we don't want to harm the birds and we don't want to put the bands on in such a way that they're going to get caught. Okay. So you got the male, you have the red eye, you got the colorful bill, and then also you have the straight line white. And this is a, if we look for age, no pointed up in here, no notches. And sometimes you want to separate them because there'll be like one notched one in the middle or one notched one on the side, and then it'll have new ones. So that it was what this one is. So wood ducks, there's a reason they have that name. So they actually are cavity nesters. So sometimes they have to like kind of dig out their cavity. So if you look at their bill, see how it's hooked? So they use that to dig at the wood and chip it away. So pretty cool birds. I mean, not that I don't like mallards, but wood ducks are cool. Got 15, right, Joe?
15 after hatchery.
Yep, so just, you can really hold it. Yep, perfect.
You're 17.
Again, that gap, I don't know if I explained it to you, but so this gap is super important to be really, really tight because fishing line, well, that's the main thing because of course they're on the water. Fishing line or yarn or part of a balloon or a piece of garbage can get stuck in there and then they're hung up or. So most people, they saw this, you know, say they were walking in the park, they'd be like, oh look, there's a hen mallard. Because it, you know, of course it's drabby, it just doesn't have its plumage yet, but it's indeed a male, so it'll be another month, it'll be pretty. Right now it's just kind of drabby. Oh, here.
If you'd like to get in contact with us or try to register in to get into one of our events, you can visit our website at scriptureoutdoors.com or check us out on Facebook and just send us a message on there and we'll be sure to get back to you. We're pretty good with contacting back right away.
It's Labor Day. For most, that means another summer has come and gone. Cutting grass is replaced by firewood. We remove the ing from camping. And no more leaving the windows open at night. As Yoopers, we move from August into September, not with discontent, but with anticipation. Indeed, we know winter is coming. But here in the UP, that's okay. It's not just that we're used to winter, it's because we know in between summer and winter is fall. And in the UP, fall is as good as it gets anywhere. We may say goodbye to the warm days of summer, cookouts, camping and fishing in a t-shirt.
This is a big fish here.
But we say hello to as much. Fishing is still on the list.
There's one.
We just wear a bit more clothes.
Nice brown. Oh yeah. Woo! Just a nice brown trout.
And of course, probably more than anything, fall means it's time to hunt.
Come on.
We look forward to long walks on cool mornings with shotgun in hand. Maybe a trusty dog by our side. Hunting grouse, ducks, geese, pheasant, maybe even fall turkey. And it's bear season. If you're a trapper, it's time to put your anticipation to rest, grab your basket, and head for the woods.
No, he won't be expecting this.
We look forward to quiet afternoons hanging from the side of a tree. A trip to camp to get ready for the upcoming season of the deer. Another trip to make sure we're ready. And another just to check. And another. Camp get-togethers for any reason. All of this done to the backdrop of one of the most unique and breathtaking explosions of natural color imaginable. Maple trees give it one last colorful hurrah before shedding their life-giving leaves for the winter months ahead. The woods changes from a single shade of green to a spectrum of red, orange, and yellow. Then, well, it's rifle season. If you enjoy the outdoors in any way, shape, or form, fall is certainly one of the greatest times of the year. Yeah, summer may indeed be fading away, but here where we live, that's okay.